Hey strong people, Kalle Beck here from StartingStrongman.com. What a weekend. The Arnold Classic is over. This is my day 2 wrap-up. If you want to go back and look at my thoughts were on day 1, that's a different video. I'm going to do more videos coming up on the amateurs, the women, maybe grab some interviews with some of the athletes. I'm going to reach out this week and see what I can get. Of course, you can subscribe to the Strong Talk podcast wherever you get podcasts if you want the audio version, or you can just watch it here. So day 1 started off with, day 1 we had the max deadlift, elephant bar, and the Husafell stone. Thor had a commanding lead going into it, and we thought he was just going to run away with this. It didn't quite end up happening. So then day 2 starts with the Wheel of Pain, the largest implement ever made specifically for strongman, I believe. Impressive piece of engineering. It's copying the event, or bringing the event to real life from the comic and movie of Conan the Barbarian. It's just really cool what Rogue did with this, and that the Arnold, everyone involved with the Arnold, the Todds, and everyone just made such cool implements. They just went above and beyond. This doesn't need to happen to have the Arnold. They're trying to make something legendary, and they did. So we saw a lot of different techniques, and we were kind of, we're all wondering how people are going to push it. Are they going to push it with their back? Are they going to wrap it around? Are they going to push it arms stretched out? There's a bunch of different heights, where different athletes can do that. It looked like almost all the athletes used the shortest bar, and we saw Alexei Novikov come out and put up a great distance, which no one else was really topping, with 113 feet. And then we saw, Belshak get right up there. He closed 105, and a lot in that 100 to 110 range. Shivlikov was just short, 103 feet. But really the story here was that Jerry Pritchett and Brian Shaw got 9th and 8th respectively. Of course, JF Caron, there was no 10th place because he had already withdrawn from the contest, tearing his hamstring on the opening deadlift. Hopefully JF heals up and is ready to go for the remainder of the contest coming up later this year. But yeah, Jerry Pritchett just didn't look comfortable. He had a hamstring issue. Brian Shaw had a hamstring issue, and the Wheel of Pain, when you're already in pain, was just not a winning combination. It was a little heartbreaking to see Brian look in so much pain, going just 95 feet, just not being able to pass that 100 mark. Then, of course, then the next closest was Rano Hanla, the 102 feet 9 inches. Then Belsack, 105 feet 6 inches. Or Shivlikov was in between at 103. Kielczkowski, he didn't look as good as I think people thought he would. I think also he had some back and hamstring issues going on as well, not 100%. Then a second deadlift attempt, he kind of walked off holding his back like this. So, and I know he said he had knee issues going in, so that's not going to be a winning combination on this event. Alexei Novikov, he just seems like a really smart competitor. He's only 23, and I think he had a very strong showing and turned some heads at his first pro show. And to have the Arnold Pro be the heaviest contest in the world, be your first pro show, is no easy feat. There's been a lot of people in the past that have completely faltered when given the same opportunity, and he definitely didn't. I know he was rushed. He had medical issues after the event because he just pushed so hard. I don't know what they were. I'm not going to speculate and put rumors out there. I'm sure the comments will be full of them, but I can't ethically do that just because I don't know. I actually talked to a friend that was on the medical team, and he advised me that he's not legally allowed to tell me what treatments he gave what athletes. Damn your ethics. Anyways, he put his head down and like on the back of his neck, and it looked really awkward, but it let him get super low and really push into it without fatiguing his arms and shoulders. You saw some of the other athletes try it, and then then Martins Licis went up, and he just, we saw, if you've been watching his YouTube, which I'm sure you have, It's my favorite YouTube channel on Strongman, well, other than mine. Actually, it's better than mine. It has production and legit lifts going on. He went 119 feet 9 inches, and he just went for it and just collapsed and went all out. He was training it a lot in a lot of different various ways. He put a lot of emphasis on the event. It appeared in his training, and that's a smart thing to do when there's a new event, because everyone's kind of at the same, wavelength, and you can make up so much ground in a log or a deadlift. We kind of know where everyone's going to be in that, and by putting emphasis on a new event where everyone else is about equal, if you train it twice as much or more than everyone else and you put a higher emphasis, there's a chance that you're going to win that event. And he did, and I think that's what happened. People thought that this was going to be 100%. Brian Shaw and Halfdor, just because they're so big and pushing on the implement. I think because it is so big that body weight wasn't as much of a factor. Everyone looked roughly the same through 30 seconds. It was who could maintain that pace and have that conditioning the final 30 seconds and those last few steps that really made the difference in who had who was 1 through 5 in this. And Martins seemed to have the best conditioning and put the most into it. And he didn't really, even though he gave as much effort as, say, Novikov or Bjornsson, it appeared that he was in a little better shape afterwards. He jumped up on the implement. It was really cool to see. And then pretty much no one really got close to challenging that. And until we saw Bjornsson go, it was a disappointing run, I think, by Heinle, getting I believe 5th place in the event for 5 points. He was tied for second going into that, and then Bjornsson looked like he was maybe gonna do it, but he just started to slow right at the end. He had his arms pushed out, and he's so damn big and so damn strong that it looked like he was gonna power through it, and he really did give it everything he had. And if you look, Martins let up. He let up with about 5 seconds left on the clock. Maybe could have got a couple more inches or a couple more feet, and was wondering if that was going to come bite him in the ass. It almost did, but Halfdor ended up half a foot short with 119 3 inches compared to 9. I know all the international fans hate me right now for not using the metric system, but that's how it's written down, and I can't convert it in my head. So Martins picks up a point on Halfdor there, and he moved into a solid second place, pretty well ahead of everyone else going to the Austrian Oak. But I said in my preview video, Martins has looked as strong as he ever has on the log, but generally in the past that's been his major weakness, is overhead event and especially log pressing. For him to get a podium finish, it was mainly determined on what kind of score he would get with the log. I have to be honest, I never thought going into this, he had a chance at the Austrian Oak. I'm very glad that I was completely wrong in that. And, I know he put up, like the week before, a 430 on a steel log, but following the Arnold pretty much since the Austrian Oak has been around, you've seen lots of heavy training logs on a steel log, and they don't always translate 100% to the Austrian Oak. Plus that log press he did, it was good, but it wasn't like he had any more pounds, any more in him than that 430 that he hit. So 430 on a steel log translating 100% to 430 on the Austrian Oak. That's not exactly how it works, but for Martins, he looked as good as anyone pressing that thing. He got 2 reps, which tied him for first, with Halfdor, who looked a little shaky. He's been having that problem where his just balance is a little off. And you also have to think, I said this looking at how it was programmed going in. Doing the Wheel of Pain, where your quads, the muscle soreness an hour or so later when you have to do the Oak was probably just brutal. And trying to apply any leg drive, have fun with that. Just not to mention how taxed your lower back and all your stabilizers are that have to hold up that log. When you're doing the Austrian Oak, that's 430 dead pounds. So when you clean it, That's 430 pounds in the entire roll. When you're trying to stabilize it and it's moving around, you're trying to fight with that entire 430 pounds. With a steel log, let's say you have a 150 pound, 50 kilo, 70 kilo, whatever, steel log. When I'm fighting it at the top, with, another 100 pounds of plates on it, I'm just fighting that steel log. It's rotating in the plates. If you're doing the clean, I can whip just the log weight, and it rotates within the plates. If it's a solid wooden log, you're fighting that entire weight. It's, an absurd length long, which makes it even harder to stabilize. It's wood, so it's not going to be 100% balanced. It's probably something that Steve Slater makes is going to be as balanced and as good as a wood log made by anyone, probably better, but it's still wood. It dries in different ways. It's had, it's been up and down in weight over the years. So it's just a lot more unpredictable than a steel log and a lot harder to clean, to balance overhead. And you can see, people wavering. You saw Kiyoshikovsky doing the same. He got 2 strong reps, really thought he'd be the favorite on this event based on his insane Santa Monica performance. But I think he's just a little banged up, especially after doing the Wheel of Pain. It just didn't look like they were able to stabilize the weight as well. You have to commend Brian Shaw for getting a rep on the, for being able to get a rep on it, even though he looked like he was in so much pain, and be able to perform getting that heavy of a log in that compromised of a position shows me that if he somehow heals up and becomes 100% by the time the Log Lift World Championships roll around in April, he's definitely in contention for getting a new American record, which is 211 kilos. Let alone just to win the overall in the Log Lift World Championship. It's just a matter of not just how much he can heal up, but how much he's going to be able to train the movements and keep his shoulders strong while he can't, while his lower half recovers from his injury doing the deadlift. Yeah, Jerry just sat. I wish Jerry heals up. Just looked hurt going into this. Novikov was not able to do the show, as said. Hanla couldn't quite balance it. Same with Belshak. It just kind of went right, he just couldn't balance it at the top. It's just harder to balance the oak compared to a steel log. I think most of these guys have that same weight on a steel log all day long. I think the top guys have another rep or 2, maybe even 3 with a steel log compared to the oak. Of course, I've never touched the oak. I just know people in conversations I've had with these pros, and just knowing how I relate using something similar to my own level, it's a lot harder. Ended up, Shivlikov was somewhat surprising, getting 2 reps with 430 pounds. His static strength has went through the roof this year, and he's just always right there. No one ever really talks about him going into this, but he's always just right there, just picking points and getting top 5 at the Arnold every year, it seems like. Kiyoshikovsky, 2 reps, a little shaky. Looked like he was good for 3rd and just had nothing by that 3rd attempt. This is the biggest surprise of the weekend for me. Him getting 2 reps on the Austrian oak. It was awesome to see. I've known Martins pretty much since his first show, and I'm super happy for him. One of the best people in strongman. Bjornsson, I think, should have been able to wrap up first in there, but I don't think he had much. There's just not much need. He knew tying, he'd be in good point contention with just 1 point left, and so they all got 2 on the oak. Somewhat anticlimactic, but I think I love seeing that event. It's just hard with it being, the 4th event. The athletes are pretty tired, especially considering we did a deadlift for max weight and 2 max distance events. That is extremely taxing on your body, and being able to stabilize and control and press a giant 430-pound log is asking a lot of the athletes at that point. If it's the first event, we probably see 4 reps from people. And that's why at most amateur shows, a press is the first event, because it's more technical, and I think presses should generally be first events. Stone to shoulder, you could tell everyone was real beat up. By then, Pritchett and Shaw had withdrawn with injury, and I don't believe they attempted it. And just everyone else kind of just looked like they're fumbling around with it. Belshak, I believe, got one rep. Hafthor got one rep to seal it up. But the story of the day was Kielishkovsky beat his amazing performance from last year, getting that 5th rep. He did have 2.5 minutes to do it, which seemed like forever. He got 5 reps on the stone, got his $5,000 from Rogue. Super awesome. That also moved him up into 3rd place overall in the contest. And then it was just a question if Martins can go up there. And Martins, he looked like he didn't quite have as good of a grip on grabbing it as Kielishkovsky. But once his roll to his shoulder was so smooth, and he just got fired up and threw it off the damn stage, which was a moment in itself. And then they brought it back up, but you have so much adrenaline going and you have to get hyped. He kind of cooled down, and you could tell he just, the fire and everything was gone. You can't just bring that back. I think if he controlled it a little better on the way down, he just threw it down and it went all over the place. Both reps. He probably could have had 3 or 4, maybe even 5, and split that money with Kielishkovsky. But I probably would have ended up 1 short if I was to guess. But he did enough to wrap up 2nd place. Martins really made a statement this weekend. His static strength is so improved with his press and his deadlift to match just how well-rounded and technical of a strongman he is, that he's in contention for any show anywhere going forward. I think he's a threat at Worlds. If the rumors are true that Worlds is going to be in California, that's awesome for him. Being somewhat within driving distance. The rumors are in May, but that's a different video. I already made a video on that. You can go back on my channel and watch it. I could be completely wrong. Do not hold me to it. Just rumors. Then Thor came out. He pretty much needed 1 rep to just wrap up his dominating performance. Ends up with 45 points. Lysis with 40.5. Kielishkovsky gets 31.5 to get 3rd. Shivakov he just didn't look like he had it on the stone to shoulder, which lost him 3rd overall. Hanla dropped a bunch of... he looked so strong in it, but he just couldn't get a grip. I saw his stone. The shoulder had like handles in it, and then this one's very smooth, and that might have been a factor. Plus, it's just fatigue at the end. It's hard to have really good performances when you've done that many grueling events over 2 days. And Shivakov 30.5 points, Belshak 28 points. He had a very good performance. That's for 5th, 6th for Heinle, 27. Then Novikov, very, very strong. Even with missing 1 event, got 25 points. Shaw 21, Pritchett 14.5, and Karan, of course, just zeroed the first event. Hopefully, I think something I want to address is people saying that Brian Shaw's done. You shouldn't be so disrespectful to athletes of this caliber. He got 2nd place in every major contest last year. He had a very smooth looking 1,021-pound deadlift. He went for the event win with the 1050, which is probably within his grasp. It looked like he got a little out of position. His deadlift stance didn't quite seem as normal, and he's had a recurring hamstring issue anyways. But to say he's done is absurd. He's still not just one of the greatest strongmen of all time. He's still one of the strongest men at any contest, any day. People get hurt. It's part of sport. If he continues to get hurt, that is one of the issues, and that's kind of when it starts to go. He is 37 now, but I still think, I just hope there's enough time that he's ready for Worlds and the Log Lift World Championships and stuff, which goes on later this spring, April, May. That's not that far away, but I know he's super into the recovery and everything. He has had a very busy schedule. They're filming a a show for the History Channel. Him, Eddie Hall, Robert Oberst, and Nick Best. Don't have too much information on that, but just traveling all the time. You've seen on his YouTube channel that he's there. Hopefully, I don't know what the shooting for that is over. If you can spend more time at home, rest up, less traveling for Worlds, I think he could come in and still give a challenge to Thor. I just think Thor is just a little better than everyone at this moment. I still think Brian can hang with anyone. It just takes one mistake and he could get first place at Worlds and get that 5th title. But if you're going to bet money for any major show from here until something shows us anything different, looks like we're in the era of Thor. He's just a step above everyone. But to say people like Brian or Jerry should retire is premature, to say the least, and these athletes deserve more respect than that. I try to be as respectful as I can for people I've met personally in the past. I know they and others don't always like what I say, but I'm trying to do my part to inform the fans, give as much of an unbiased opinion as I can, and kind of connect the dots for people. Some of the questions I got asked were like, why isn't this athlete there? Why wasn't that athlete there? Like Zadruna Savickas. The Arnold is not an invite show anymore. It was for years. Now there is a Arnold World Series. If you go back in my videos, there's videos explaining that whole process and how athletes qualify. Anyways, that's enough talking. I am dead tired from watching all of this all weekend, doing my job programming and having a 10-month-old who thinks sleep is the worst idea in the world. So I am going to get back to the rest of my life. More videos coming in the upcoming days and this week on the Arnold Pro Strongwoman, the Arnold Amateurs, and hopefully some interviews with some of those competitors as well. So far for the Arnold Classic 2020, we have qualified after Bjornsson again for winning the contest, and also Bobby Thompson for winning the Arnold Amateur. He is a static monster. He looked great all weekend, and it'll be very interesting to see how he does at this heavy of a contest. I think out of all the amateur athletes, now he's a pro obviously because he won that. Out of all the amateur athletes, I feel he probably would represent everyone the best at an Arnold Pro, but that depends on what we're going to see event-wise. I'd imagine we'll see somewhat similar events because there's so many new ones. I want to give them a couple of years rotation to get the use out of it. It'd be pretty silly if they made that Wheel of Pain just for one contest. I think we'll see it back, and I think we'll see people approach it in a much different manner now that they've gotten a feel for it if it does come back. I'm Kalle Beck. I'm sick of talking. You're sick of looking at me and listening. Go to store.startingstrongman.com, pick up my ebook, pick up other books like The Cube Method from Josh Thigpen, gear from Cerberus USA, SBD USA. Go to Iron and Strength. They make cool shirts like this one, and it'll make you look half as good as me.